New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez is allegedly embroiled in an international prostitution scandal. And guess who the liberal senator is blaming for fanning the flames? Right-wing blogs. The right-wing conspiracy's back. Now, in just a moment, we're going to play his outrageous comments. But first, here is the backstory. Around the election in November, a story broke in the Daily Caller asserting that Senator Menendez flew down to the Dominican Republic and slept with prostitutes, all at the expense of one of his top donors, one Dr. Solomon Melgen. Now, an FBI has now since raided his office, and Senator Menendez has already reimbursed his top donor the almost 60 grand for trips on the doctor's private plane. Now, the mainstream media has been doing their very best to avoid the story, but yesterday, a reporter finally questioned Menendez about the allegations. Here is his irritable, angry response.
Can you just answer the allegation that has been out there that you were with prostitutes, sir?
The smears that right-wing blogs have been pushing since the election, and that is totally unsubstantiated. It's amazing to me that anonymous, nameless, faceless individuals on a website can drive that type of story into the mainstream. But that's what they've done successfully. Now nobody can find them. No one ever met them. No one ever talked to them. But that's where we're at. So the bottom line is all of those smears are absolutely false. And, you know, that's the bottom line.
Joining me now with reaction, former spokesman for Hillary Clinton, Mo Alathy, and from townhall.com, Fox News contributor Katie Pavlich. Well, we do have people on the record that have spoken to the women involved in this case.
Right.
And more and more is coming out every day. Thoughts?
2 points. First, you have Senator Menendez pulling the typical, this is a product of the right-wing blogs, right? The Daily Caller and Breitbart.com, Matthew Boyle, who was a reporter for both, is at Breitbart now, are not just right-wing blogs. They're publications that happen to be media outlets online who have a bigger audience than many of the major newspapers in this country.
That's true.
On that point, these aren't nameless, faceless, anonymous people coming forward. Matthew Boyle took the time to get a translator, interviewed these women who are coming forward with these allegations from the Dominican Republic, who did the interview in the presence of their attorney.
He interviewed two of the women.
Two of them.
And one, the underage one at the time,
right,
has a handwritten.
Right, and he also, Matthew Boyle, also interviewed a government official from the Dominican Republic who has verified that Senator Menendez spends a lot of time in the Dominican at parties like the ones that these prostitutes discussed, and so that's been verified too. So these are not anonymous allegations coming from faceless sources. They're coming from legitimate news outlets that have very, very big audiences.
All right, Mo, here is one of my big problems, and what Katie was referring to, and that's the bias in the media. I remember there was a senator from Idaho, and there was an allegation that he might have been toe-tapping and trying to send some signal to some guy in another stall. The media went nuts. John Edwards, it took the National Enquirer to break that story. So do you think there's a double standard?
No. I think that when someone gets caught, you know, Larry Craig in Idaho was arrested, you know, yeah, the press is going to jump all over that. But I remember there was a time when there used to be serious standards by journalists before they started running allegations like these, where they would have multiple upon multiple sources and lock it down before they would start running.
That's pretty substantial.
I don't think so. Everything that I have read so far, we know certain facts.
I talked to Matthew Boyle.
Okay.
He did interview them.
Fair enough. You can. I have issues with the nature and the biases of the Daily Caller, just like you have issues with the biases of, as you see them, of the mainstream press. But here's what we know. There are certain facts here that we absolutely do know, right? We know that this doctor's home was raided. We don't have any indication that it had anything to do with Senator Menendez. In fact, there are questions out there that he was raided along with HHS, and it might have something to do with Medicare.
He also owes the IRS $11 million.
We know that the senator did screw up the reporting on the planes. He paid that up.
He just screwed it up.
Look, I've worked on enough campaigns to know that sometimes things slip through the cracks.
Like flying on a
private
private jet.
He deserves to get whacked for that.
Well, you know what's going to be a problem is that this big donor who was raided by the FBI also has connections to the Clintons, but we'll leave that for 2016. On that note,
it never ends with
on that note, in terms of Senator Menendez paying back these bills, right? He only paid back these these bills after the right-wing blog exposed him for flying to the Dominican Republic. Speaking of the facts, what do we know? We know that on April 8th of 2012, which was Easter, Senator Meldon's plane was came from Florida to New Jersey, landed for an hour, and picked someone up and went back to the Dominican Republic.
Wonder who that was.
Yeah, Senator Menendez refuses to release his travel record and refuses to release an alibi, saying that this is a smear campaign by a right-wing blog when they're legitimate media outlets is not an argument.
All right, there's one other point here. If, according to law, he had sex with an underage prostitute, regardless of it being legal in the Dominican Republic, he would be charged in the United States. He could potentially, if that turns out to be true, could spend a lot of time in jail.
I can't believe we're even talking about this, Sean.
I can't believe we talked about a toe-tapping senator. Sorry, that's what
I didn't bring it up. You did.
I can't believe we talked about
this is just
John Edwards' love child that he denied forever. I mean, Bill Clinton, I did not have sex, not a single time.
You put something on the table that proves that this happened, then I'm happy to have a conversation about what sort of punishment.
Let's talk about this, though. This isn't necessary. This is not just these online media outlets like Breitbart and the Daily Caller. This is the Miami Herald. This is CNN now asking questions. This is Harry Reid being questioned about this, initially doing the whole look at the source thing. Now he's backing off and saying this is what FBI investigations are all about. And to the point of Harry Reid initially coming out and Menendez saying this is just the right-wing blogosphere, I don't think that's a good idea to tell the Breitbart people who took down Anthony Weiner and Acorn that this has nothing to do with the facts. There's plenty of evidence.
Guys, good to see you. Good to see you in New York, by the way. Mo, always good to see you. Thank you.